let's take a look at how Republican faith in electoral politics is doing these days, okay? How about we do that? Just for kicks and giggles, right? Hello, J-Boy G. How's it going? Let's take a look at a simple graph, okay? A simple graph. I think we can all wrap our heads around it, right? So this is from our good buddy, Numbers Muncher, Josh Jordan over on Twitter. Trust in electoral process among Republicans has cratered from 68% before the election to 34% now. Let's take a look at how this charts. Roughly in the same ballpark between Democrats and Republicans. What do you think happened around October 26th? What do you think happened around this point to make it absolutely crater? Yeah, exactly. Oh, you broke it on a skateboard? I'm sorry, comrade. I hope you were at least pulling off some sick tricks right before that, okay? Racking up those Tony Hawk points. Yeah, I mean, J Boy G, I'm kind of with you on this one because I don't know how you come back from this. Like, once you go down this road of saying, well, electoral politics is a sham anyway, so we're just not going to do it. Like, guys, you have to understand, this is like this is the first step, right, to a fascist power grab, right? Like, you undermine faith in the electoral process, then what's left? If we don't have this method of changing power between democratically elected hands, then what do you have left? Seems pretty obvious to me that you don't have very many other options left, right? This is why we have a lot of people on the right calling for violence or demonstrations to purposely instill fear into the general population. Ghost is anonymous. Do you actually think that our electoral process was so weak prior to 2020 that we were actually like, yes, we want to count both the legal and the illegal votes. We're gonna count the illegal votes this time, guys. You know, I know. Usually we use the honor system. We don't count illegal votes. But in 2020, we're gonna count the illegal ones too. It'll be fine. You know. But here's the thing. If you think that they counted illegal votes in this election, the onus is on you to prove that that's the case. If you don't have evidence to that effect, then you're just running your mouth and saying a bunch of bullshit, which is exactly what you're doing. What about all the dead people that voted? This happens every election, and they have methods in place to make sure that dead people don't get their votes in, okay? Like, this is why during the counting process, they check it against their records. So, like, this is how they can tell if someone has voted more than one time. This is how they can tell whether someone who voted is dead. It's not factored into the final count. I think I should be able to vote when I'm dead, to be honest. Let's see. Yeah, the Democrats hacked the election, guys. But only the presidential election, and only by a very thin margin. And they also didn't bother hacking the Senate or the House elections, apparently. Apparently, this is how people on the right think that these elections work, right? Y'all are silly. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild how these people think, right? Like, as if 2020 was the first time in American history that people thought of maybe voting illegally, or that there was voter fraud, as if this was the first time this topic had ever come up before. Like, how big of a brain do you need to like think that, right? We have systems in place to make sure that these things don't happen. How do you? Oh, Ashley, you're using the Manatee Jack emote. Thank you. How do you fake votes if you accept votes on the same paper? Well, you see, but what if you like saying MAGA more than democracy? Well, I mean, then you're probably a fascist, right? Like, you like a strong authoritarian leader more than you like the democratic process. And I would say that that's probably a problem. You probably should get yourself out of that line of thinking. The left said, "Not my president." If there's possibility of inconsistency on a broad scale, best to investigate to put any doubts aside. IMO. Exactly. I'm not against investigations, but I am against wasting voter tax money. So, like, by all means investigate, but, like, Republicans deliberately ran investigations on voter fraud for, like, the past decade, and they didn't find anything. Like, they found so little that it was so embarrassing that they just, like, quietly closed the investigations rather than, like, announce any findings. Ghost is anonymous. I really don't understand your politics. And JP Bras, true. Like, we're at the point now with the Electoral College in the United States where, like, the Republicans who have accepted that Biden won technically are now saying, well, the electors don't actually have to vote for Joe Biden. They use your state powers to make them vote for Donald Trump. It's like, you guys realize you're talking about subverting democracy, right? Like, you're talking about subverting the will of the people to bastardize how our system works so you can prop up an authoritarian leader. It's absolutely insane that the Electoral College still exists. Yeah, exactly. We should abolish the Electoral College. Whether or not Democrats win or lose, we should still abolish the Electoral College. That's political suicide for states that could allow that. Wow, that is, like, mad, like, fascism when Nazis elected Hitler instead of the people. Still want to, yeah, like, on the whole, if you ask people on the left if they still want to abolish the Electoral College, yeah, we still do. 2016 and 2020, and probably before that too, if you ask people, Well, yeah, Ghost is anonymous. We know you're fascist. It's okay. Eviction notice has already been sent. GTFO Orange. I hope and pray that that eviction notice is seen, read, and thoroughly ignored so that we get the distinct pleasure of seeing Secret Service escorting him from the White House when Biden is sworn in. That will be the most delicious moment. Oh yeah, I'm glad that Biden won too. But yeah, I mean, guys, just like look at this chart. Like, the absolute lack of faith that Republicans have, based entirely on whether the election went their way or not. I can electoral your college any day. What does that even mean? Get out, you crazy Brit bonger, you. Only black people should be able to vote. I don't know about that one. I get to keep my rights. Yeah, keeping our rights, that seems pretty based and good. Let's take a look at how the Mitch McConnell and the Republicans are taking this in the Senate, okay? Here's a nice little clip of him on the Senate floor.
And then there's the presidential race. Obviously, no states have yet certified their election results. We have at least one or two states that are already on track for a recount. And I believe the president may have legal challenges underway in at least 5 states. The core principle here is not complicated. In the United States of America, all legal ballots must be counted, Any illegal ballots must not be counted. The process should be transparent or observable by all sides, and the courts are here to work through concerns. Our institutions are actually built for this. We have the system in place to consider concerns, and President Trump is 100% within his rights to look into allegations of irregularities and weigh his legal options. Let's go back 20 years ago. 20 years ago, when Florida came down to a very thin margin, we saw Vice President Gore exhaust the legal system and wait to concede until December. More recently, weeks after the media had called President Bush's reelection in 2004, Democrats baselessly disputed Ohio's electors and delayed the process here in Congress. In 2016, election law saw recounts or legal challenges in several states. If any major irregularities occurred this time of a magnitude that would affect the outcome, then every single American should want them to be brought to light. And if Democrats feel confident they have not occurred, they should have no reason to fear any extra scrutiny. We have the tools and institutions we need to address any concerns. The president has every right to look into allegations and to request recounts under the law.
Everything he said there is true. Everything he said there is true. However, it is I need you guys to know that it is unprecedented for members of the Senate to just be like, nah, the person who is declared the winner of the election isn't actually the president-elect. You know, that's pretty unprecedented, okay, guys? But despite that lack of acknowledgement here, yeah, I have no problem with states being recounted. I have no problem with investigations being done. What I do have a problem with are, like, bullshit, like, legal loophole means of, like, throwing votes out. Like, legitimate legal votes, you know? Like I said earlier, but only big cities control everything. If the Electoral College is abolished, it isn't your fault. You have maybe 2 neighbors in the entire state. Like, and yeah, that's the thing. Like, I understand, like, people are like, oh no, we can't get rid of the Electoral College because then it's dictatorship by the majority, but that's literally how democracy is supposed to function. Like, democracy is supposed to be an extension of the will of the people, and if the majority of people in this country vote for policies that benefit the majority of this country, that's literally how this is supposed to work. Our system is not supposed to be a rule by minority. It's supposed to be rule by majority. That's the thing that like differentiates it from, like, authoritarianism or feudalism or, like, monarchism. It's the thing that, like, differentiates us and makes our political system one of the best systems devised. Yeah, this is why democracy is worthwhile, guys. Like, I understand the concerns of people who belong in that minority that might be hurt by this, but also the entire premise of our system is vote by the majority. Like, that's supposed to be how this works. I mean, yeah, it's a dangerous notion, but also I think, like, restricting our, like, previously, like, our system restricted voting representation to only white men who owned land, and then it was to white and black men who owned land, and then it was to, we got rid of that policy of, like, land ownership being a component of voting, and, like, then we were like, okay, women can vote too. I think that actually letting people vote and having that be a reflection of how the interests of our system, yeah, I think that that's fine. I think we should actually be doing policies that benefit the vast majority of people. What do you say to people who say America wasn't supposed to be a democracy? I've had some chuds say that. Well, I guess I would just respond that America was also supposed to be an Anglo-Saxon ethnic state. But, we're not that either, so I think that's largely irrelevant now. Um, I should sing Minnesota by Lil Yachty. Um, what rights could be overturned with Trump judges? A lot of them. Minority is the top 1%. The rest of us are trying to take away their power. MAGA saved Second Amendment. No, it really didn't. Um, the rule of the majority is the first step towards legitimizing dictatorships, and the will of the people is the first thing dictators incorporate in their rules. Well, I would largely say that most dictators aren't actually reflecting the will of the majority. The majority of people don't generally want dictators unless a country's in the middle of a crisis. But I mean, I think we should have systems in place to prevent dictatorships. I'm in favor of that, but I don't necessarily think that that needs to apply to, say, a presidential election. We have a tricameral system. Like, we have the Senate and House for the Congress. Then we have, the legal system. We have different checks and balances in our system. I just think that our presidential system should largely be democratic. I don't think there's a problem with that. I also don't think that there's a problem with, for example, having more representation for, like, in the Congress for places that have more of the population. I don't think that these are fundamentally problematic issues. Aw, autumn leaves. And I know you watch Vosh, so that's a big compliment. Um, let's see here. Let's just keep looking at more news from how's the Trump administration going, people? CBS News confirms House and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson has tested positive for COVID-19. He attended a party at the East Room of the White House on election night, along with Mark Meadows, the White House Chief of Staff, who was also confirmed to be positive. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but we should probably be worried about this COVID-19 thing that we have just, I guess, in this country decided we're not going to do anything about. Well, yeah, dictatorships aren't just born out of coups d'etats, but I think that largely, if a leader has the vast majority of people, on their side, I think that that's fine. Like, especially if we're claiming to be a democratic system wherein, everyone who is able to vote has representation, well then we should be, our representatives should be, like, representing the best interests of the constituents, right? So, like, yeah, the president should be in favor of the majority of the people. Like, that's how this system should work. I understand that dictators often use that justification. I just don't think it is often based in reality. Well, yeah, JP Braz, that was my main worry with this election. If Trump got elected again, it would give him a lot more legitimacy during his second term. So on this note, on the coronavirus note here, let's take a look at some news, I guess. Turns out Florida seems to be testing the waters of herd immunity in the United States. Now, for those of you who don't know what herd immunity is, imagine that you just get locked into a room with 100 other people and one of them has the virus, and they tell you they're not going to let you out until you all have the virus. And that, yeah, 2 of you might die, but, that's fine, because when you get out of the room, theoretically you'll be able to go around and, it'll be fine. That's basically what Florida is advocating for. So Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is basically like, yeah, we're we're going to make sure that everyone in this state gets COVID-19. We're going to let it spread freely. We're going to encourage this. It's going to be fine and good. And, oh yeah, you did the 8 values thing. It also sucks that people I know aren't taking COVID-19 seriously. I saw like 30 plus people at the park today while I was on a walk. Yeah, I mean, like, guys, it's getting worse. We're heading into winter, and it's gonna like spike everywhere. No more COVID. We have Democrat now. Yeah. Like, it turns out the election didn't make COVID-19 go away, guys. So yeah. The idea is we're gonna let everyone in Florida get COVID-19, and then it will be fine. Hello, Apple Juice. Hello. Now, let's just take a look real quick. Number of cases in Florida. Turns out, in Florida, we have a little bit less than 10% of the entire nation's cases, right? Or wait, I'm not doing my math right. I'm not doing my math right. Never mind. Shut up. Actually, no. We are pretty okay. Florida's pretty close to 10% of America's cases, and has had 17,000 deaths so far. Now, you might be like, "Oh, that's pretty bad." Well, here's the thing, guys. We're already now hitting a point where there are places in Florida where there are no hospital beds left. See, this is part of the problem that we saw when we were looking forward and kind of projecting what might happen later in the year with COVID-19. Because, yes, the data doesn't show if the bed shortage is due to flu or COVID-19, but that's largely because it's immaterial. It doesn't matter. Because one of the big issues with COVID-19 is that we are consistently running out of room in hospitals because there are now huge spikes of COVID patients. So, yeah, a 46% spike in COVID-19 cases. And this is as of 5 days ago. So there are hospitals now running out of hospital beds. And I need to remind you guys, I guess, 844,000 isn't how many people live in Florida. So if we're already running out of hospital beds in Florida, there's still a lot more people who are going to need to go to the hospital. Today, the FDA announced that a vaccine is nearly complete, but it only works for a week. So now they're working on boosters to make it last longer. Jesus. I mean, great that we have a week-long vaccine, but that's not really a solution. Yeah. And, well, Narconthos, there is a solution. We can have revolving shutdowns to make sure our hospitals don't get overwhelmed. Because the issue is, if our hospitals get overwhelmed, then people start dying. Yeah, boosters are common on like a several-year basis, not on like a week-long basis. What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, I don't, it's not you're gonna go and get a shot every week at a doctor. No, you're not. Have you tried executing the patients? Not yet. But they are in the middle of now having to decide how they're going to ration care. Because if you run out of hospital beds, you need to start then making decisions about who gets treatment and who doesn't. So, yeah, I mean, basically the Republican policy leads to death panels. It's cool. It's super cool. It's only a 2-shot. Yeah, it lasts for a week, my dude. Are you gonna go into the doctor 52 times a year? No, it's not like a lot of other boosters. What the fuck is wrong with you? Have you ever had a shot before? It's what? No, it's not generally how long vaccines work. Vaccines generally work longer than a week. Holy shit. My brother's a firefighter slash paramedic. The 2 stations in the country are down to 1 crew, or in the county are down to 1 crew versus the 4 they usually ran due to people being sick. Yeah, good luck having an emergency there. Yeah. Like, here, how are you going to stop the masses from protesting the shutdowns? There are no financial social programs in place to support these rotating shutdowns. Hello, Revolt Rise. Well, that's the thing. We need the social support systems to make the shutdowns work. Like, I'm not saying we just shut down and let everyone die from like poverty. Obviously not. But we need extreme financial measures. Otherwise, again, I cannot stress this enough. If the entire hospital is filled with people who have COVID-19, people who have other life-threatening issues can't go to the hospital because it's full. It's not, guys, the ideas I'm talking about here are not super complicated. I don't know why these are so like hard for a lot of people to wrap their heads around. But if you can't go to the hospital and you have a life or death situation going on, then you're just going to die, whether or not you have COVID-19. So, like, yeah, you don't need vaccines from hospitals. You can get it from CVS. This is true. However, I just need to really stress, a lot of people aren't going to be able to easily go to a CVS, every single week to get these shots. Revolt Rise, everything's on fire. That's how people are doing tonight. So, like, maybe we should do something about this. Maybe we should have revolving shutdowns. Maybe we need to revisit these social programs that help people stay afloat during these shutdowns. We need to be able to deal with this situation without saying fuck it. Let 1 million people die. Let 5 million people die. Because here's the thing, guys. The deadliest part of COVID-19 is if it overwhelms our hospitals. If that happens, the death rate from the virus might not go up dramatically, though it will, but the death rate from everything else goes up too, because people can't get to the hospital to have their needs met. I don't know how to emphasize this more, but this is something that could kill millions upon millions of people if not dealt with. Which is why this policy of, hey, maybe we'll just let the community get immunity by infecting everyone. Maybe it's not the best idea, They save so much money dying at home. It's true. People do save money by dying at home. It's true. That is factual. 100%. Let's see. Exactly how many Floridians have been infected at this point is unknown. By Sunday, there have been a recorded 893,897 total reported COVID-19 cases in Florida, but public health experts say that is certainly an undercount. The question is by how much? Florida has 22 million people, and the reported infections make up about 3.8% of the population. Advanced mathematical models put the estimated number of total infections closer to 4.2 million, which would be 19%. So, again, whatever this problem is we have right now in Florida, multiply it by about, 5 times. Yeah, five times over before you get to everyone in the state having been infected. Lil Pump 2024. Boss, I think you mean Lil Pimp. Come on now, you have to listen to your president. Yeah, the celebration over the weekend could certainly cause a huge surge of COVID-19. We'll have to see. A good on the knees yelling at the sky on their is going to make a lot of it better for many of them. True. Yes, please whisper to the mods if you want to link things. Let's take a look at... Oh yeah, here. Let's take a look at the COVID tracking project here. Daily tests, daily cases. Wow, everybody. Today isn't even over yet. Almost 120,000 people have caught it. It's so great. Things are awesome. I love it so much. Currently hospitalized 59,000. Total deaths just today 580. Woo, we're number 1, everybody. I was told when Biden won it would go away. Why you lie, Trump? Yeah,